Welcome back to the Black Plague Precision Podcast. Today, we are continuing our series of women in long range. I had an opportunity to, while I was scrolling through LinkedIn, came across this company that really stood out to me, Victor Company USA. And we have Heather on today. We're going to be talking about their involvement in the long range shooting community, her journey in this space and their offerings. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. Heather, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me and taking the time out of your day.
I'm so excited. You and I were on the phone for like 2 hours the other day, talking about your article that I wanted to write. And so, I've been thinking a lot about where we're going to go with the podcast. I'm sure you have as well. And I just got to compliment you on the background. I mean, your setup here is hardcore. It's core long range right now, so it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. This is a typical setup if anyone does a call in with me. It's just easier to have things at an arm's distance.
hmm
And it's just easier to convey and it's faster sometimes.
I love it. So
Yeah.
let's jump in. I'll sort of leave it up to you on how much you want to sort of get into the details, but ultimately, let's start with your guys' involvement with the long range scene, how you got started in the space, and ultimately how that led to you becoming the sole owner of Victor Company. And we'll sort of go from there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. It's a big
Yeah, it's a
journey.
lot.
It
Yeah.
feels like, it's 15 years.
hmm
Yeah, I'm at 15 years right now. I can't believe that. It was just an idea to support a partner I had in his hobby. And it was either going to be a show or we were trying to come up with some kind of product like dope cards or something. And
hmm
NBC had a show out, I think it was like '07, like American Rifle or something. And at that point,
hmm
you're like, okay, well, they have one already. There's no way they're doing two gun shows. And I can't believe it's on prime time.
hmm
And so then we ended up making spacers for Accuracy International. Was our first product. And it was out of a need that my partner saw at the range and for himself, because he's a big fan, he was of Accuracy. And so from there, we just went to a grippy cheek rest and then got real rogue and decided to go from a thumb hole skin that they offered to our own as a pistol grip. And then it led us to the Titan 1022 as a trainer stock using a Ruger footprint. So it's easy, accessible. Everybody has one. So they can get fundamentals and get out there. And then then we just kind of, kept chugging along, doing our thing, having fun, making stuff for us,
hmm
making stuff for the community. And then about 2021, some things changed, and it was a good opportunity for me to step into the sole owner role. I was leaving another company I'd started. I was retiring from that one, and I had not much to focus on. And I thought, you know what, Victor Company is great, and the community was the best part. And now I'm here with about 6 new lines or something crazy like
hmm
that in a short period of time. And I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast. I'm making fun things for me
hmm
and fun things for, I hope people can use too.
So let's take a step back real quick, right? For those of you guys who are new or newer to the long range precision scene, when you're thinking about chassis systems, you may not realize that that's a relatively new thing in the long range shooting world, right? Almost exclusively people were shooting on stocks, and in that way you had to find a way to make those more accurate, right? And that was sort of your guys' first jump into this was, okay, we're shooting on stocks, how do we make this more comfortable, how do we make it more ergonomic, how do we make this situation more precise, right? So it's really interesting, and I'd love to talk about that a little bit more before we jump into some of your guys' newer offerings, because we often forget that like what long range shooting really came out of was the hunting world, and
Hmm.
then it sort of progressed into this competition world, right? And so tell us a bit about those initial offerings. Like, what was that experience like for you guys?
Well, I think that I mean for designing with reference with designing the Titan 22 stock out of
Yeah, well, so
in
you
that.
guys started with the cheek piece, right? And that was sort of
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
the
Well,
implementation of
originally, if
trying
you
to make
think
it more
about it,
comfortable.
Accuracy National was a chassis base, right?
Hmm.
With skins attached to it for long
Hmm.
range. So I think the accuracy was already at a high level. Like you needed
Hmm.
that for fundamentals, to challenge these guys, out in the California, PRS and the NRL guys, the
Hmm.
SoCal guys, and then we created this stock out of a 35% glass nylon. I think we started closer to like 45. It's so strong.
Hmm.
And we just wanted something without flex. So you had the repeatability of the fundamentals. And then you had a solid piece that felt more like your rig, right? It's heavy, it's meaty, it's full size,
Hmm.
and it free floats your equipment, your barrel. So I think that's kind of where we went. And then it was like we were putting US optics scopes on our Titan 22 right off the bat. And that's when we realized, wait a minute, we thought our comb was high enough because no one was really putting on that crazy meaty glass.
Hmm.
And we were for pictures. We were actually helping, we were friends with US Optics. We would make their videos back in the day and
Hmm.
we would switch out equipment. And so we popped it on for photos. We needed a cheek rest. And then we realized, wait a minute, this thing's universal. And so we kind of keep stumbling on things because we're going organically out of our own need, right? And so that's where I've taken it and continued on that process on our new lines. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the free floating, right? Because even that is like, a long time people didn't realize that you needed that clearance underneath. And so
mhm,
you were really like part of, I mean, it's been 15 years, right? You guys were part of that like innovative group that was bringing in that idea of improving accuracy within the space. And your Titan 22, right? It might look in a lot of these, they look very similar. It's like, oh, it's another stock. But there's a lot of work that goes into engineering these things and designing them and making sure that they're applicable and usable for our community.
mhm.
And you've had a lot of experience with that, which is really, really great.
Yeah. And out of the box too, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
already bedded. The first item that goes into our huge giant mold is our aluminum bedding. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's closed and then they flow in the nylon plastic. And
Mm-hmm.
and then from there we have that rear anchor where it already is putting a bit of pressure on that trigger so you can get some kind of a second contact point like a bolt action. And now then we did the spike, which is genius. To put a divot on the back. You just need enough pressure. You don't even need to like over crank it, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
22, but it needs to be set. And each, receiver is made from, the 1022 footprint, but it's all their interpretations, and that goes with how they manufacture and
Mm-hmm.
how their lines are in clearance, and it's all within some kind of a tolerance. But when you're trying to take something so rigid as almost steel, right? This 35% glass nylon, and it will show any imperfections in because of how straight it is and
Mm-hmm.
unforgiving. But it has nothing to do with shooting. You can just kind of move your barrel slightly, or your barrel could be canted. None of that affects your accuracy, by the way, as long
Mm-hmm.
as you're still free floating. And those are the things we were working on to make sure that we could dial in everything. And then with the anchor itself that comes out, we put 3 dots there. So you had your thumb for muscle memory. It has a full palm swell for a reason. It's not a ski to be pulled on. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's to be placing your hand comfortably so you can have proper trigger control. And the crook, and there's an angle. All of that was for positioning so you can get back behind it and have those fundamentals. Or guess what? Out of the box, You could have a tack driver just for fun hunting squirrels, right?
Hmm.
You don't have to overbet it. It already has cuties, so you can put slings in the front and back. You can change out anchors. It was just kind of a fun way to allow everyone to kind of enter shooting, and then created
Hmm.
their Lego way.
Yeah, the cool thing about like the evolution of these stocks and these chassis is the thought that goes into them, right? You're talking about the ergonomics of the hand placement, right? And when we talk, it's so fun to get into shooting and it's so fun to go out there and do all this stuff. But we often forget that, like, if you're going to get into the competing world, there's these fundamentals that, reign true through all disciplines, and hand placement and the way you're positioning your thumb, the way your fingers laying it, if you're putting side pressure or back pressure and all of this sort of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
the way you guys think about designing just that simple portion of the whole thing is pretty amazing. And it sort of makes you appreciate what you're getting, right? And that's one thing that I feel like we miss out on, right? We buy these things and we just want them to work, but like I want to also be able to appreciate the craftsmanship that have gone into these things.
Yeah. And I'm
So,
glad you're pointing that out. And that's definitely a Achilles heel for us over at Victor Company's conveying, right? We're so used to doing this for ourselves, or we always would call it a hobby company, right?
mm,
Because it was a hobby that we loved, right? And I still love. And
mm,
it is a hobby too, but it's also my company. Going back to fundamentals, the two cuties on the front are, of course, for ambidextrous, but it also goes back to, you can put a sling, right, and get yourself straight, because that makes such difference. Just your pocket,
mm,
just the memory of the pocket spot, not here, not here.
mm,
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I'm learning every day how to be even more aware of every little movement, right? And it's so
mm,
much to pay attention, and to have some equipment that kind of guides you, to and then when you're on it, you know how it feels right. That's what we hope we can achieve,
mm.
when it gets to your house, and we hope that's what is a benefit to you.
So one of the cool things about the conversation that we were able to have was like how many, like, we found out that I was at a booth at SHOT Show right across from you. We're both from California, although you don't live in California anymore, right? We found
Hmm.
out that one of your relatives is like not that far away from me. So we're
Yep.
like living in this weird world where it's like we could have been neighbors, right? And that's really exciting to me, because I feel like we've been able to connect on a lot of this stuff, and I really love the mission you have. I really love how you're trying to develop out your systems, but also keep it in line with like this is a fun, enjoyable sport, right? Which has been really cool. Jumping back to the Titan 22, what were some of the growing pains around jumping into a system like that, that you guys had to sort of work around, right? Because obviously you guys have stepped it up from there, but let's start there. That way we can sort of understand how you've developed to where you are now.
I think one of the growing pains was, um, producing a stock that's 35% glass nylon, because it's
Mm,
unforgiving. And it looks like, sometimes, the stock is crooked, or that, and that's hard to convey. Or that
mm,
I came across, canted barrels back when we were first making the stock. If you go
mm,
back to Sniper's Hide, and you can see the progress of Victor Company and how we created that 22 stock. It was with the help of the community too. It was the help of the California shooters, the NRL guys, the PRS guys, all those guys. They gave such good input on every product that we made. And I think that's what it was. It was kind of a community effort, and that kind of helped. But the growing pain is, when you realize, there's some tolerance stacking, and you're concerned more about, an aesthetic. And I understand that. And I
mm.
agree with that, if that's where you want to be. But I always just say, go shoot it. And then after you pick it up and you shoot it, it's hard for you to put it back down. And that's
Mhm.
normally what I hear. And that's it. It is for me. I mean, I have them all over my house. I
Yeah,
mean,
I believe it.
I always have guns up everywhere. I used to in California too. In Glendale, I would have, them just out to look at them because they're kind of cool pieces of art.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you on that. For the stock itself, right? I know you said you guys cut your teeth out here with the PRS and NRL guys, and we talked a little bit about how you knew some of the people who were developing the leagues at the time, right? And how your rifle was sort of being integrated into those systems. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, that's what I've heard, because I wasn't always at the ranges, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't something that was, I was in, it was, ended up going to.
Hmm.
I guess I stayed home with the kids, I guess. And with that, from what I understand, when we came out in 2012 and 13 with the stock, and they helped us with the growing pains, right, of them saying, hey, this channel is crooked, and then we have to send, and then we're like, no, it's not. Um i think they did help us. I mean, I don't know what else to say to that. So I don't know if we were the sole thing, but I've heard on side conversations from a good friend that, he said that, in the beginning, we were the first sponsor, is the best way
Hmm.
to say it. Because we believed in what their mission was.
Hmm.
And their mission was to get the community, like Janae's daughter and Ty's, their kids, shooting and getting and inviting families, right? And
Hmm.
I think that's why 22 was there too. You can do that, and everyone can go, and it's less expensive to get into. So I'm so glad that they created it. From there, it went straight to a chassis system pretty fast,
Hmm.
right? And it was Voodoo that really, really came out and said, guess what? 22s are here, and
Hmm.
woke everything up. And that's when we kind of woke back up, meaning, hey, 22 stocks with aluminum bedding and all this equipment, is something that might be needed. And then chassis
Hmm.
came, so then the stock just kind of chilled out for a while. But it kind of feels like, um, I'm reintroducing the stock in a way because of the new lightweight version,
Hmm.
and the new semi. So I hope that fundamentally, and if people are getting in the sport or just for fun in their own like property hunting, that they pick up a stock and just see how it feels for them, because I
Hmm.
think I think it would be added value.
Yeah, and I think sort of to what we're talking about, I think it's important for people to understand that like you guys have been around, right? You've been this community loves to support companies that support them. That's
Mhm.
just the straight facts, right? And you
Yeah.
guys have continued to be one of those companies, right? And it was to my surprise, and I don't know every company that's out there, right? But when I was like, oh, California based like company, well, was based in California, and I don't know about you guys, like I felt a little bit guilty. I'm like, I should know who you guys are, right? And so it's been really fun learning about how you guys have integrated into the community, how you guys have continued to be supporters and sponsors of the community. Finding ways to continue to grow and be creative in the space, right? And
Yeah.
that sort of leads us into your guys' newer offering, which is what actually caught my attention on LinkedIn, which is your guys' RPG chassis, right?
Hmm.
You want to
Yep.
tell us about that?
Sure. It stands for Rapid Precision Gun, and it's
Mhm.
modular. Um, the ex-president of Victor Company, they were working back on it, on things modularity. We were talking about doing that, and changing out the footprint only. So you
Mhm.
already had your hardware that you're used to, or equipment front and back. And then you can change out different platforms. We just thought that would be kind of a fun thing to do, and we and ended not ever releasing it. And then when I came out with the new lightweight stock, and then I was coming out with a new Arca rail system, I just was able to come out now with this RPG, which I'm so happy that I was able to get finally out. I've been talking about
Mhm.
it for over a year. I had some delays, but the delays are there. because of the, quality. I really, we have to be on point. We have to, and if something does go out, anything at Victor Company, I always bring it right back in because I really feel personal about it. But for the RPG, I'm so glad it's here. Two things. I mean, I hope I'm not. It's just my Accuracy International rail. I've always loved it, right? And we
Mm,
came out with that, and that was one of the I first thing when I took over Victor Company. I had three thoughts. One, I'm going to make an upgrade to my cheek rest, which I did, a grippy one. Then I need
mm,
a lightweight stock or a stock that is a little bit even more budget friendly, but doesn't cut on performance or quality
mhm,
or fundamentals. And then I wanted an ARCA rail system, like my knurling and my AR rail, I wanted out too. So I had a lot going on. And then when we just started working on a couple of things, it just all came together. And I was dying to use, God, I have to show you, I was dying to use this and
mm,
switched over. And I was like, we need to get this on a 22. We need to get this
mhm,
on. And I kept trying to put it on my stock, cut my stock, do this, do that.
mm,
And finally we ended up coming up with an adapter.
mhm,
And then so you can have your comp rail or you can have an adapter and switch your equipment. And that was
mhm,
my whole thought because I love repurposing things. Like if you
mhm,
know me, you'll know I have like a jar half the time that's an old
mhm,
giant like broth jar that I'll repurpose, right? I just do that.
mhm,
And the idea of, and maybe it's a female thing, right? We always want to make some like 100 things out of one thing. Like you guys
mhm.
hunt, bring it to us, and then we bring you dinner for the week, right?
Okay.
We do that. That's kind of my thinking, I think. And then it's now kind of catching on modularity. And I think it's smart because it gives the end user the control and the fun to make what they want and how they want to shoot it. Because we're sitting here talking a lot about PRS, right? And comp shooting. And that is a real small community. What's big is hunting, right? People
Mhm,
that feed themselves still in the United States, like people here in Wyoming. I love that. Um, and what can they use? What can they use if they wanted to comp but then transfer over and hunt too? And that's kind of the lane we're down. We started with a Ruger because you know what? That's the best footprint to start with. They're the Everyone has one. They're the most accessible. They're fun.
mhm,
You can remake it into any way you want. And then from there, we can add different inlets, and we'll have 457 Bagara. We have a 702 versions right now. For us, it's just time. I'm always behind. I do have a good team right now, but it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to scale, companies in general,
Yeah.
particularly in the firearm industry, right? I mean, we deal with an extra level of bureaucracy and regulations that make it tough. And then the shooting community is very discerning, right? I mean, they know what they like and
Hmm.
they're willing to test a little bit out of their comfort zone, but they generally know like this is what I want to try out, this is what I'd like to see. So you come out with the RPG, right? And that's
Hmm.
the fore end. And so we were sort of talking about this, right? It's a buffer tube back end. And then you add a handle as well, right? So
Right.
for you, right? I mean, I see you have a couple rigs there. I don't know if you have this system around you or not, but
Yeah.
what sort of right now, what's your go to?
This
What
is
do
it.
you like to put on to finish out your fore end? Yeah, that
Um,
looks great.
this is our longer version of our AR. So if you here's the thing, if you have an Accuracy International handguard already, it will
Hmm.
fit. If you have Keymod and you want to use it,
Hmm.
so that's what I love. I love building with on other people's platforms in the sense of we can use interchangeable items, and that's the
Hmm.
whole point, right? Because again, we all have what we like. And we all have
Right.
different parts of the country and how we can shoot and length and trees and no trees and wind and all of that. So for mostly, for us, we're just doing ARCA. We're always putting something on an ARCA. Are you talking about building out the front? What you can put on it?
So I'm curious on the back end, right? Because you
Oh,
guys
okay.
don't currently offer buffer tubes.
No,
You don't offer, yeah.
no.
So what is your preferred build right now that you have in shop? I
You
know that
know,
we sort of talked a little bit about you are interested in having sort of an array of products so people can have that option. But what are you going with right now?
yeah, I really I like XLR a lot.
Hmm.
I think that they're a really good, smart company in the way they design and how they manufacture. I think their
Hmm.
quality is good. So I like XLR. So we also for XLR we put in a set screw to help put a little bit of pressure if you don't have a castle nut.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And for your guys's for the handle, what are you guys doing?
Um, Ergo's always nice too, but I personally prefer as much perpendicular as possible.
Hmm.
For me, for my grip, I have some strength, but for me, I feel like I have more control when I'm up and down. If I'm more of an angle, if it feels like I can't control as much. I don't
Hmm.
know. That's just me.
Yeah.
So any grip that is perpendicular, I'm into. Um, so we're working on that too. Picking what we have. A lot of times we're doing exactly what I expect a customer to do. We're going through our drawers. What do we got?
Hmm.
Oh God, we got this. Let's pop it on and see how it
Hmm.
feels for us right now.
Hmm.
We haven't really gone out and bought too much new stuff because we already had a bunch of stuff
Hmm.
that's been around for a while. That is so good still. And, we will modify it. I just popped my cheek rest on here because I want a grippy one. It's fun.
Yeah.
Um, I could give you a list though. You can give me some homework and I can create a list of what we've built so far out of the ones. Another favorite piece that I'm in love with and we fight with, and she's not here, by the way. I was looking
Mm.
for her.
Yeah.
Chaz, where is she? I think Chaz has her.
Mm.
It is our RPG with our comp forend, and it's in
Mm.
black, but we put an Angstead fully suppressed barrel in it.
Mm.
Wait, it is so much fun just to go
Mm.
out. Like we'll just be feeling it at the office, and it's like, let's go see if we can hit some squeakies you know
Mhm.
and if for one it's community service, by the way,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
second, it's just fun, and then we get back on it and we're like, this is so much fun. So I don't have a good answer for you right now. I am looking for partnerships. I do have designs myself, but I'm
Mhm.
not going to go down that road. I don't have that time. I need to finish the inlets. I'm being honest
Mhm.
with you guys. So that's just where it's at. um, if customers have suggestions that they would like us to carry, oh my God, please reach out, and I would love to carry. Um, and some people have asked about, if do you ever mind if it's a competitor? Why?
Mhm.
No, it'd be great. The more that I think we have a community, right? Even if we're in the same lane, is really important. Um, I think, you know.
I agree with you, and we did speak about this a little bit, right? We are typically a community that will own more than one firearm. And
Hmm.
so there's plenty of room, right? People like to build on different stuff so they can have a different feel.
Hmm.
And even if we go back to your example on the grip, right? I've talked to other companies that are, in their development, and with the grip, that perpendicular, that 90-degree, right? It is most advantageous for people who have smaller hands, which on average, women have smaller hands than men, right? So things
Hmm.
like that are really important. The way that you guys are thinking about these products being made. And it's really nice to look and talk to somebody who's looking at the space and saying like it's great, like that's fine, like use this product from us, use that product from them, like build what makes sense to you, what's going to perform for you. And that's great. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a lot of homework to do, right? Because we still need to convey what we're thinking. And the more we can share, it will be easier for everyone else, like, hey, let's just put stuff together, like
Hmm.
I don't have to, and I won't say it out loud, but I feel like other manufacturers might get mad. I have to go buy a new something.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you need to, right? And you want those quality pieces that you can take out and repurpose, right? I think I've had my mixer for, I'm not even saying, but it's more than 3 decades. So like I've had it a long time, and I miss those days of having things that you love and can reuse again. Even if you buy something new, you always go back to it and it still works.
Hmm. I mean, that's a whole different time, a whole different generation. But I love that as well, right? And the space that you're sort of in, right? Halfway
Hmm.
between hunting, halfway between competition. And we've talked about this, right? And my channel is all about all things long range. And so purpose builds that can be used between disciplines is really important to me, right? I understand that if you're trying to be one of the top 10 competitors in the world, then okay, you might hone in a little bit more and you might go very, very purpose on certain things. But ultimately, most of us are not those people. Most of us just want to go out, have fun, compete, maybe podium, get a couple wins under our belt. And
Yeah.
then when the season's over, go out and do, like you're doing some community service or go do some hunting or whatever that may look like. So I think that you guys perfectly align with the overarching idea of the community, which is great.
Yeah, I hope so. It's a lifestyle. Basically, it's my
Hmm.
lifestyle, and it's kind of a different way of presenting a company. It's
Hmm.
very vulnerable, and but we're very open because it goes back to, I think we were talking about just community and
Hmm.
and stories. You say you go out there and you shoot and you do all that, but God, what's the other? I feel like it's more than 50%. It's those connections of the people, right? Someone you may
Hmm.
not even know will just walk up to you and go, "Hey, let me help you with that. I'll cite that in." I remember when I went to right when I took over Victor Company, the first place I went was the NRL 22 match in the Ozarks. Those guys were awesome. And I show up
Hmm.
in a Tesla, and and you know what? By midday they were letting me drive the tractor. So like these guys were cool as hell, and their
Hmm.
range, oh my gosh, was so crazy. Is
Hmm.
loved it. But it's just it's the community, like, and so I go there and I show up, and I just bought a bunch of new guns. And
Hmm.
I had a scope and I had it all put together, and Ruth was so kind. And she was competing, and she's a really incredible shooter. Took the
Hmm.
time to help me, and so did some other people help me set up my scope there at their range. And that's what I love. They stopped what they were doing. I was just there to observe, to kind of see my new role, to see it like wake, hey, Victor Company's here. We're still in the community. We just haven't been around.
Hmm.
And it was just nice to be welcomed in. For some California La Cunada Glendale girl rolling up in a Tesla, and then popping out a tent out of her trunk, and they are all willing to sit there and listen and talk to me. That's the
Hmm.
community I'm in and that I love.
Yeah, it's everybody's been so nice, and that's a big part of what I try to get, through these podcasts, through the stuff that I'm putting out, is like this is such a welcoming community, and they're so generous in letting you get behind their rifles,
Yes.
letting you test their stuff out, giving you advice and guiding you and things like that. So I'm so appreciative to be part of the community. And yeah, like every community, there's gonna be a couple, d holes out there, but for the most part, everyone's been pretty nice. So that's
Yeah, they
great.
just they just need they just need a little more chipping.
Mm.
They just need to be a little bit more chipped at. Um, they're all soft inside.
So you got a couple things around you. Do you have anything in front of you?
Yeah.
Like, do you have some stuff
I
you can
do.
show us? Because you have a lot of offerings there
I
outside
know.
of the chassis, right? Some unique things that you guys are doing.
Kind
If
of,
you want to
yeah.
show us anything.
Well, some things is like for sure is I think is here, go over here. Um is our Arca rail. We're doing a
Hmm.
full brass one, which is super awesome. And it's fun, and it's not just because it's cute and unique looking. I mean, it has
Hmm.
a purpose. Brass, it it's supposed to absorb vibration. It's soft metal. It
Hmm.
also helps with temperature control, but it gives you that weight. So this gives you right under 2 pounds of added weight for stability, and it also has a built-in ARCA, so it's doing two jobs. And there's different ways of attaching. And what we like to do is do the knurling on the bottom of everything, kind of like how we started. Is our
Hmm.
signatures knurling.
Hmm.
And I feel that that flat helps. It does help with the bag. It helps with slip and grip. And it's just our thing. And so we put
Hmm.
that too on the bottom of the Arca. Um,
Hmm.
and what's great about our Arca, guess what? If you have an Area 419 stop, barricade stop, it fits perfectly. And we have the same, I've always had the same philosophy as Area 419 of going through the action. I
Hmm.
remember having that philosophy right when I took over the company. I had that question many times, like, why can't we go through the action screw? And I was
Hmm.
told, no, you can't. And then I kept pushing on it, and someone helped me make a prototype, and we tested it, and it worked. And the person I was buying the rails from um, wasn't wasn't interested in maybe my new philosophy. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to make an Arca rail for a while. And then when I was I'm starting to machine things, I'm like, I got to make this Arca rail.
Hmm.
So I did. Because I was making that new AR rail that I have. I don't even know where it's
Hmm.
at. Oh, here it is. I never know where something is. This one we were trying to spray some easy bake oven off of. I heard you can strip ano on it, and then we were going to
Hmm.
polish it up again like we did another gun. And
Hmm.
then we had a bright idea of putting a balloon in, some tape, so you can keep the black in. I don't know. We have fun over here. It's a lot of tinkering.
Yeah.
We do a lot of games. Sorry, I'm not good at telling you my products because I'm more good at messing around over here. Um, but so this is just our standard stock with our he does an amazing job, and he's local in town that does our Cerakoting. And then this has our spike anchor, right? And that puts the divot, and you can see that the cone screw is slightly protruded, so that's what you screw down just a turn or so to seat it, and it stays.
Hmm.
And it does improve. And then we have that kit anchor. And then we have our new lightweight stock, which is almost exactly the same as our current stock, except for it's just a pound lighter. And I took out some of the equipment, like I took out the aluminum bedding, but we kept the removable anchors, the cuties, so you can still, if you're at Appleseed and you want a straight shoot, you can still put cuties and put a sling around you without extra costs.
Hmm.
That's helpful, I think. Um, I love this new lightweight one. She's like a squirrel gun, definitely.
Hmm.
She's so much fun. I got Tapco's new lightweight carbon fiber barrel in here with a Circa Taxel that I got like 2 years ago, and I just love it. She's just fun. Um, I'm trying to think. My grippy cheek rest is something that I think is just a go-to for a staple for a cheek rest. It's something you can attach on. We give you the bolts. We even have zerts for it. Or you can epoxy it like we did on here
Hmm.
onto a tube that has enough width to get it on. And then my favorite is our glide bars. I mean,
Yeah,
these
they're
are
nice.
just pretty, right?
Yeah, those in the your brass arca are so nice, and it's we talked about this that um I you had said this exact thing had happened to somebody else, but I had seen that product before, and I think it's because it just is so it's the same, but it's different, right? It's enough different to where you see it and you go like, oh, what is that? Like, who's making that? And that's come in my feed a couple times as I'm looking and researching products. So it was really cool to see your products come in front of me right before I'd even really had a chance to look into you guys, and both of those are really appealing. And you just put out a video or shared a video of somebody who did a build, and wow, they look really nice.
Yeah.
They're super cool looking. Just from a purely filming standpoint, they're really nice, right? Just the
Yeah.
like they film so nice.
Yeah. Well, our hope was the reason why we had to do this comp 4N in this style, which has been done, right? Everyone has
Hmm.
this kind of shape. Well, and then we did the dovetail, but we wanted to be able to slide it in so you could take it out depending on what you actually needed it for, depending on the barricade for the guys, or like, and you don't have to take anything out. You would just have to unscrew and slide it out without disturbing your setup.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And then you can get the 4 in there, or guess what, you don't even have to use ours, which I I'm favorable to ours because the brass I feel does an extra job for you. But
Mm,
MDT's weights fit in here too. So if you got
mhm.
it, use it, you know?
Yeah, it's I mean, to your purpose, right? Is how do we create something where you may be able to use something you already own? Like I have MDT weights, so can I slide them out of my current chassis, try them in there, see how they feel? Or
Yeah.
if you want to have that nice shiny setup, right? Grab some of yours, which are really cool.
Hmm.
So I
Or we
like
can
that a lot.
Cerakote them, right? You can Cerakote them.
Yeah,
Would
yeah,
you?
you definitely. I don't know if I would. Yeah, I mean, I like the way they look, the way they are. I mean, there's another company that does exterior weights that are, they sort of look gold, or they're brass or whatever
Is
they are.
that
I forget.
3L?
Well, I think they are too, but
They
I'm
make
thinking of a
some cool
different
looking
company.
ones too. I like all the
Yeah,
honeycomb version. We're
yeah.
coming out with a biscuit, kind of like a side one too. We're calling
Hmm.
her biscuit. But
Okay.
I like what they make. But I'm, it's fun. You know what? Here's another thing. I think we're so used to having things presented to us, right? Like you go present it, you see it, then you go buy it, right? But gosh,
Hmm.
technology now, right? Besides the whole AI thing, which whatever on that, you can have a whole nother conversation. But if you can hear, I got a 3D printer in the background, and I came from Modern Day Marine this year, and
Hmm.
one of their top four on the hit list was 3D printing and being able to do it on the fly on their own terms on ships on location, not waiting for a supplier to send things. So I think
Hmm.
that like the idea of having this modularity and that you can have a company that supports that, because you can add your own flair to it. So going back to that release of my customer, and he's in Canada, by the way, and
Hmm.
he saw it for the first time, the RPG chassis at the NRL 22 in Oregon,
Hmm.
and so then he ended up buying one, and it comes with aluminum paddles, by the way, and he probably put it on the other side, which you can do. You can add an extra
Hmm.
paddle, or you can put it down further down on here on an M lock, grab an M lock piece and pop it on, and then you have something else to hold on to. But
Hmm.
he made his own. If you zoom in, it's a little bit different than mine, and I like that
Hmm.
he golded it out. Like, it looks so good, and we got to remember that our people in our community are going to be creating their own products themselves to add on to our products. So let's make sure that um, we're all kind of aware of it.
Yeah, it's sort of like computers, right? The ability to mod your computers and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. And you actually were telling me, I know that he's not a sponsored cheater, but you had somebody running your system who did fairly well in a pretty large competition. What
Mm-hmm.
was that again?
Lloyd Lloyd Bender, and he was from Utah, Pew Pew. I think it's on Instagram, and he came in second at the PRS 22 with the semi, and he was
Mm-hmm.
running it, and I remember asking him ahead of time, like, "Hey, do you need anything? I'm gonna show up," because I was on a 1 month road trip. I started.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, and I'm like, I'm gonna show up, and he's like, no, no. And what I like about him is he buys everything, and he doesn't. He's you lucky enough to be able to do that, and then he doesn't. He's shooting for fun, right? So I didn't even say hi to him until afterwards at the banquets because I didn't want to disturb his his place.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was running this RPG chassis, and I was so excited for him.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear people are out there, they're using it, they're doing well with it.
Yeah.
That must be like sort of I always think of well, I sort of look at it from what I'm doing, but I don't create anything outside of like attention and this sort of stuff. But
Mhm.
like you're building a thing, it's like having like a child, right?
It is.
So it must be cool to see it out in the world and doing what it was intended to do and doing it well.
Yeah, it is. And I catch myself sounding like a salesperson, but I mean, this is where chick CEOs involved here. These are my babies, and I
Hmm.
love them all. Like, they're like my kids. As long as they're listening, they're my favorite.
Yeah,
That's what
fair
I've
enough.
always told my three kids. Who's my
Hmm.
favorite? They would say, who's your favorite? And I'd be like, who's listening?
Hmm.
That's my favorite.
I
but
love that.
but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
Uh,
No, that's great. Well, you guys have a lot of cool stuff. If you guys have an opportunity, go over to victorcompanyusa.com, check out their stuff. But before we, sort of wrap this up, tell us a little bit. What's the future of Victor Company look like, right? Where do you want to see yourself in the next couple years? Where can we expect to see you?
Okay. Well, I think we're going to expand in about four areas. And the first one is going to be with that lightweight stock.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably see it more out there, at least the footprint too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the AR-15 rail will just open us up to more design. And then going to the 10 with that built-in ARCA, I think we're excited about that. And
Mm-hmm.
then we're also excited about the RPG and the inlets. And with the inlets that we're creating for the RPG, we're also creating inlets for our Titan 1022 stock at the same time. So we'll have a
Mm-hmm.
bolt action footprint in the 22s in our 22 stock here
Mm-hmm.
shortly. So it's just a matter of creating and continuing to get out there, and then hoping just to shoot more is one of our main goals here.
Absolutely. Well, that we spoke about this, right? Like, why have you gone so heavy on the Ruger 1022, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it makes a ton of sense. It's a widely used, widely owned system. But I know and you sort of mentioned that you guys are going to be, expanding out on these inlets. And I said, well, I know for a lot of competition stuff, people are using, different ones. And so I'm glad that you guys are seeing that, you're ready for that, you're preparing for that, and you're giving people the opportunity who already have a system that they want to use and then can use your rails or your systems to integrate it all together. To me, that's the most exciting thing, is expanding that ability to use your products.
Yeah. What about for you? Like, what do you see? Like, if you're interested now in rimfire, have you started to build yet? Have you decided on like even how you
Oh.
might build it?
Well, that's a great question. My situation's a bit different because I'm never going to be a full competitor in rimfire, right? But I have a goal to own at least one, if not multiple, firearms for every discipline, because my goal is to grow this community and I want to
Mhm.
have these firearms available. So when I do events, when we do training, when we do education, we have these and we can use them as a way to make entering this community easier. Right,
Mhm.
that's the overarching goal here. So, I have some stuff planned. I have some ideas. Right now, I'm going a little more heavier on centerfire builds, but my hope in the future is to lean a little heavier into the 22 world. And we sort of talked about Two Tenths Left, who is been on the podcast. We're both creators. He's a good friend, and he's sort of guiding me through that process a little bit. He has some suggestions, so I'm excited to see where it takes me. But I can say that I'm definitely interested in your guys' forend. And you've sort of opened up my eyes a little bit as well to some like accessory things that I hadn't really considered.
Mhm.
So those sort of things are really exciting to me, right? Because I love to learn, right?
Yeah.
And for me, this has been really fun getting to know you, getting to know your products, and the things that you trust, the companies that you believe in. So yeah, in the future, there definitely will be some 22 content coming out. Definitely some training and education around it, and you never know what those are going to look like, but I'm excited about it.
I'm excited to see it too, right? Because I like to
Hmm.
see it from your perspective, and it's neat
Yeah.
because if it's something new, and but your knowledge is there, it's going to be fun to see how you interpret and cross over, even from centerfire to rimfire, though they look so similar. They're
Mhm.
not.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. And I don't, I try to make it very clear to people like, I'm not an expert in everything here, right? And
Hmm.
a lot of the work that we're doing here is designed for myself to learn, right? So
Yeah.
I can learn and I can filter through a lot of the noise for people and try to help align them with other people who are really integrated into those areas, right? And so people like yourself, matter of fact, right? And if you guys have questions, you want to know more about the 22 community and particularly the offerings that they have, I know that you are very open to having conversations, just shooting the breeze about this sort of stuff, reach out to Heather. I think she's been a really great resource for me so far, and I think would be a great resource for you guys as well.
Wow, that's really kind, and I appreciate that. And also, we'll be at Goals. So if anyone's going
Hmm.
to be in Knoxville, I think it's like August 8th, around those dates, come by and see Goals. It's going to be, I think Brownells is sponsoring it. So if anyone's nearby and they want to at least see what we have for offerings just to pick it up, come say hi or, come talk to me. I love talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the next time you and I will see each other, well, the first time in person will be at SHOT Show.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
looking
then are
forward
you
to
going
that.
to Ewa? You said too?
That's the plan. Yeah,
Yeah, I
to
will,
be at
and
that as well.
I think I believe I will be there again too. So it'll be
Hmm.
fun. I like it there. It's
Yeah.
kind of fun.
So it'll be good to know another person. And this time I'll actually just, turn around and actually look at your booth and pay attention because I don't know how I missed that because I was like really purposeful looking around and being like, oh, are any of these companies I should be talking to, right? And it must have just,
It's
I
we're
don't know.
kind of in a garage. I call it the
Yeah.
garage. We
Hmm.
Voodoo was across from us, and then was it was the scope maker. Why am I spacing? Is it Apex?
Athlon
Athon, yes.
or
No,
yeah,
Apex,
Apex.
isn't
Okay.
it? Yeah.
I mean, I
I
don't
always
know.
space
So much
out. So
going on in
sorry.
my
I'm so
brain.
sorry. He's
Yeah.
gonna kill me if I mess up the name, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
but so no, and then John right there with Pro Shot, the big cleaning
Mhm.
supply is right there. So we're
Mhm.
in this nice little spot. And we're hard to find.
Mhm.
But when
Oh,
you
that's all
find
right.
us, we're very welcoming.
Next year, you'll be on my list of companies to come and
Yeah,
visit,
we
so
have
I'm
the
excited
same
about
spot.
that.
So if anyone, it's
Yeah.
over on Caesars where the good bathrooms are.
Yeah, well, that's key. So, well, I appreciate I appreciate you being on. Thank you so much for giving some insight into what you guys are doing, the offerings you guys have. For those of you guys listening and watching, please subscribe. Please share. Please comment. Right, we want to grow this community, and it's only with your guys' effort and your guys' buy-in to what we're doing and what we believe in that we're able to do that. Thank you guys so much. And if you have a chance, get out to the range, take a shot, and we'll see you guys next time.